Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys. Today we're going to talk about history. There's some problems with history. And if you remove historical context from a lot of things, things become very theoretical and not practical, really. So we're going to give a case. I made a video some time ago about double edged claims. These double edged claims are things like, let us all say the truth, okay? And imagine I tell you a lot of people lie and don't trust them. Why should you trust me? You see, I can make that claim, and somehow you will join my side and be like, hey, let's find those people that are lying. Forgetting that, what about me? Why can't I be lying? You see, that's the issue of like double-edged claims. But anyway, now we're going to talk about Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah. I was listening to like one someone was giving lecture, Salafi was giving lecture about Sheikh Islam ibn Taymiyyah, his life and what he did and how he wasn't accepted really during his time by all these people. And I'll just show you some kind of things that I always think about. These are the things that some people might not notice that I pick up on and I'm like, what is that? Okay. So for instance, they started talking about the history about why we should follow the truth no matter what. You see, this statement is like, okay, follow the truth no matter what. So let me just tell you how it went. So they first said that Imam Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, he went and he studied somewhere with the scholars of that time, and he learnt a lot, and he was very good even from an early age. He already completed a lot of things. He even became someone that could give fatwa because he was so knowledgeable. He learned all the things from people, from the scholars of that time. Okay, so the first thing I noticed from that is that Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, he was learning from some people. Okay, he was learning from some people. Hold that first. So the knowledge, where is he getting this knowledge from? It's not something inspired. He's getting it from a particular group of people. So if you know somebody's scholar, you can literally know where he's getting his ideas from. Okay, so what is he getting? Content of knowledge. Tie this in with the video I made about what is knowledge and Sheikh Yusuf al-Qadrobi. I'm showing you that content of knowledge. So you gather all the books about this and gather all these books and Quran and you memorize all of that. You know all the things. That's content of knowledge. Now, the next thing they said is that at this time, a lot of people were doing taqlid. That's the claim anyway, that they were blindly following people. Okay? And Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, it was against that. Don't do taqlid. Don't blindly follow. Follow the truth. Okay? So that was the claim. At that time, he was saying this like, don't blindly follow. We follow the evidence. We don't blindly follow anybody. And a lot of people say this without knowing how deep this is. Like, you can just say, we blindly follow, we don't blindly follow anybody. We follow the evidence. Okay. The problem with this is that it's true. Like, yeah, even everybody says that. I've seen people from the other side saying, don't do tech lead. Everybody's saying, don't do tech lead. Imam, for instance, let me say, Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah was Athari, yeah? Imam Al Ghazali is Ashari, and all of them say don't do taqlid, which means that the individual is somehow told to like find things himself. Because if I don't do taqlid of Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah and I don't do taqlid of Imam Al Ghazali, what am I doing? Can I just disagree with both of them? Can I do that? Like, if I'm not supposed to do taqlid, can I do my own inference and look at the evidence and come to my own conclusion? That seems to be what, like, do you see? So when the scholar is living his life, some of these things make sense. Like Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, when he's alive, maybe people were literally doing taqlid, they don't have a reason for what they are following, whatever. That's not the point. The point is, how does that apply to you? Should you take that principle and apply it to, okay, can maybe you might say, this guy, you're not knowledgeable. What about someone that's knowledgeable, that studied exactly the same thing that Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah or Imam Al Ghazali, this exact same thing that he studied, and now he doesn't want to do taqlid. Now he knows it, okay, so you cannot say he doesn't know it, but now he's going to he's going to do uh, make an inference or a decision or a judgment based on all that he knows, and he's going to provide evidence for what he know from his own distance. But what if the evidences disagree? That's the issue. What happens when we don't agree? When you want to look at the Quran and Sunnah, and me, I want to look at the Quran and Sunnah, and we don't agree. That's a problem. What happens then? Okay, when you see that, you will realize the subjectivity involved. That at the end of the day, maybe the evidence you are providing is not as clear as you thought, and someone else can just disagree with that evidence easily because they have their own evidence that they're using, and this explains the false schools. Let me just say, simply put, the false schools are based on we know that hadith and all these Quranic verses. However, we're going to make a decision, and this judgment it involves some level of subjectivity that might come from our own methodology, our own epistemology, our usul. That usul is going to influence what's going to happen, what decision will happen eventually. Okay, and then there were also the literalists. The literalists are like, no usul is never. We don't need any usul. But now people think they are a school on themselves and they have their own usul. You see, it seems to be that you cannot step away from interpreting. But that's not the point. The point is, it was saying that don't blindly follow and things like that. Don't do tech lead. But now imagine, after so many years that he has gone and Imam Al Ghazali is gone, Imam Ibn Taymiyah, Sheikh Ibn Taymiyah is gone. What if somebody today looks at both of them and disagrees with them because he doesn't want to do tech lead? You will soon see that a minority, it's okay for a minority to say, let's not do tech lead when you're a minority because Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, he was persecuted, right? He was persecuted and a lot of people, he was imprisoned, even some places. Do you see? Like, people literally disagreed with him during his time to that level where they put him in prison. You see? What those people were doing, they were the majority at that time, right? But the issue is that once the minority becomes the majority, the minority now find himself in a place of power. This power doesn't have to be force. It can be some kind of academic exclusiveness where before you are saying let's not do tech lead, and suddenly when you have power, you have the majority, then people cannot disagree with you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, let's say Sheikh Ibn is saying let's not do tech lead. That was in his time, and then he wrote a lot of works that people today now take as orthodoxy, as something you have to follow. It happens a lot of times that a single person might produce works that was in his time might be something that people saw like, no, we disagree with you. But then people later will take it as orthodoxy. And anyone that now disagrees with that will be seen as somebody that they will kind of not want to say do tech lead. They will say like you should be convinced by the argument. Something like that. Like, there's no way you are not convinced by this argument. To me, that's what it looks like. Because what if I want to take Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah's principle, like don't do tech lead, do your own inference, follow the evidence wherever it leads. If I follow that and I just disagree with him on one point, are you going to force me to now do tech lead? Are you going to force me to now believe somehow? Or there's no possible way I can disagree? That's what the orthodoxy, the majority before were saying. That there's no way someone would disagree with us. But you were able to challenge them and say, no, you guys are wrong. This is the evidence. This is what the evidence says. And then they persecuted you, and then you became powerful. People ended up seeing like this argument actually made more sense than what those guys do. They were just blindly followed. They didn't know what they were doing. This argument is actually better. And then people started accepting that proposition too. And at some point to become the majority of maybe a particular place. Now, any person that now comes out from that community to now come and say somehow he disagrees with one point or many will be seen as somebody that is obviously rejecting the truth, just like where we started from. And the cycle continues. That's what history does. The minority, the majority persecutes the minority becomes the majority and persecutes other minorities, and the cycle continues. and you might not be able to end this. It takes people that study history to be able to see this. When you look at it, like from a bird's eye view, you will see like this actually was happening most of the time. Imam Ahmed was persecuted by the Mu'tazila. They lost. Imam Ahmed became stronger. And now the Mu'tazila cannot come back in that time because this is kufr. And then it just goes on, just goes like that and that, like that. And it's very interesting to see this. But think about it. Double-edged claims, when I was talking about that thing, this is one of the example. If I can just take a principle that don't blindly follow, meaning don't do lead, and follow the truth wherever it leads, or the evidence wherever it leads. What if I follow the evidence deeper than you? What if I, who's going to decide who is following the evidence deeper? What if you cannot follow, you cannot go past this? Why not? Why not? You see, there are many other questions that will pop up that just taking principles from people will not cover. I don't know if this makes sense to you. Let me see what you think in the comment section about this historical thing. This always happens, by the way. You just need to pay attention to it and you will see it everywhere. Okay? So anyway, see you guys later. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.